Alright, I'm here with my next project, and this is a goalie mask that is in the process of being rebuilt. I actually bought this off of Sideline Swap for $50. It doesn't come with a cage, but it looks like most of the other stuff ready for it. But I'm going to verify that and see, that it has all the foam needed. If it has all the foam, this will be really easy way to flip this around. What I hope to do is build this out and then just sell it and flip it, unless I fall in love with it, and then I'll decide if I want to keep it. But I actually already have a mask that I can use. Okay, so I got this foam in here. That looks right. So I'm glad I did this, because I am realizing now that I'm missing one piece of foam that would go right here, and that looks like, this is everything that it came with. So I am missing that piece of foam. Worst case scenario is I can craft a new piece. I just know that it gets wide here, skinny here. I don't want to cover up any of the air holes, and then it can get wide again. Okay, so I'm going to pull the foam back out, knowing that I'm probably going to have to create one new foam piece in the middle. But what I want to do first is get some of this hardware back in and actually put a cage on it. Now, I bought this cage that supposedly fits this type of mask. However, I'd like to verify, and this looks like it's too wide for this mask actually. Now, I do have another mask laying around that I ordered earlier that I don't know if it's meant for, although it looks like it's a perfect fit actually. It looks like this will fit it. So I guess I lucked up with this one. This is a brand new cage too. So I'd actually prefer to put this on if I can get it to fit. So first things first, let's start doing the hardware. And I want to get all this hardware in before we adhesive the foam in. Alright, and I have these neoprene washers, which are a little bit higher quality than the hardened plastic ones, so I'm going to use these. Okay, so now we have the hardware in. I got the cage attached, appears to fit well. We got all the snaps in. Chin cup is in place. The foam's not in place yet, but before I do the foam, there's this little deviation right here where I can sort of see some of the fibers in there, and I want to see if I can fill this in with some gel coat. Now, I know I've used gel coat before and I've really hated it, but this is on the inside of the mask. I think it'll be pretty easy to work with on the inside of the mask like this. So, if you haven't seen one of the other videos that I've used gel coat for, it's made up of two parts. It's applied to fiberglass applications. You gotta scoop some of this out. I'm just gonna place it in here. Alright, now I'm just going to fill in this little section in here. Okay, and I don't really see or feel anywhere else where this is needed. So that will be it. We'll just smooth it out a little bit. And this should harden in a day or two. Okay, I got my mask here. The gel coat has dried. I'll need to sand this down. Okay, now I got this contact cement. I'm going to put it on the back of the foam in the areas of the mask that I want it to adhere to. Okay. Next piece. Alright, I just put contact cement on the mask and on the back of this last foam piece that I have. And now I'm just going to drop this in. Now, if you'll notice, it looks like I'm missing a piece right up the center. So I'm going to have to go down to my spare foam and cut a piece, just freehanding it, about what would fit there without covering any of the air holes. Alright, so I'm just going to shove this paper towel in there with a marker, trace to where the foam insert should be. Now I got somewhat of a rough marking of how it might look. Now I just got to cut this out. Okay. Now I can just give this a try, see if this fits. And that's pretty good. Now I might want to actually have, get wider right there, so I can cut it here and just do a wider piece right there as well. Okay, if you look close at the foam here, it's dual density, meaning there's one layer that's that fat black, and then there's that gray layer. Now the foam that I have one layer here, but then I'm also going to double it up. I got another thin roll, it's a black roll, that's going to go over top that, and this will be real easy. I'll just trace over that with this black and glue it all in, and that'll be my final foam piece. Now I got my final piece of foam. It's a double piece here. I just got to glue this into there, and that should be the last piece of foam. It looks pretty good. And that's it for the foam. I just got to let this contact cement dry.
And now we just have finishing touches, like adding a sweatband, putting in new straps on the back plate, and then installing the back plate to the mask. And now we're done. It's ready to sell. So I want to talk a little bit about the cost breakdown for this project. Now, all I really had to pay for was $50 for the shell of the mask, and that came with the foam and the back plate. But it didn't come with a cage. So I did have to buy a cage separately, and I was able to find a certified cage that fit this mask shell type for $20, bringing my total cost to $70. Now, there were some things that I used that I already had and really didn't cost me anything, but depending on what you have, if you were to try to do this, it could cost you. I already had contact cement. Now, this could cost you maybe $10 for a small bottle, but if you wanted one that was much larger, a pint-sized bottle, you could get that for $16. So if you're planning on using contact cement again in the future for other projects, I'd recommend going for the pint size. It's a better value. I also already had a lot of the hardware. This mask was missing a few screws and snaps, but I had already had all that. You could buy a kit that has a bunch of these little screws and things in it for about $10. Now, this next item, the gel coat, is a rare item that you're probably not going to need to use in many cases. I already had some, but if you wanted to get a kit, that's only $17. Now, where it gets difficult is going into the foam. I already had a lot of closed cell EVA foam that I had stockpiled from earlier mask projects. So I was just able to go into this. And for this project, I only needed a small amount, maybe like $1's worth of foam. But you really can't just buy $1's worth. You really need to get a bundle. Now, what you might be able to find from some places that sell it in big bulk is to get a cheap sample sent to you, and maybe you could get just a few bucks sent to you. But if you wanted to go on Amazon, for example, and buy rolls of foam, I think the cheapest you could do that way is to get a roll of 1/2 inch foam and then get a roll of 1/4 inch foam, and that's going to run you $40 approximately for both of those rolls. But it's going to produce enough foam to cover multiple mask projects, not just this one right here. So that could be something that's really worth it for you if you plan on making adjustments to future masks, or maybe do this again. The other items that I haven't talked about yet, like the backplate straps, I didn't really need to replace them, but they were losing some elasticity, so I just decided to go ahead and replace those. I already had some in my garage. If I had to buy them brand new just for this, I might not have, but buying new backplate straps might cost you around $16. And then I already had a sweatband, and you can find these on Amazon for $15, but then again, that's for a 4-pack. Almost all of these other things that I already had, if you were to buy it, it's not really easy to buy it just for one mask. You'd be buying it in bulk, so you'd have enough materials to do other mask projects after that. So depending on how you look at these cost breakdowns, you can sort of see the different ways that it could go. Now, if you're in a situation like me where you have a lot of the things that might be needed to do a restoration already, and all you needed to do was buy the shell that came with the foam and a cage, this project only cost me about $70. And then I was able to turn around and sell this for $170, making my profit $100 for an afternoon's work of just putting this together. However, if you didn't have any of this other stuff, and really in this project, you really don't need all of the stuff that was in here. Top level, if you were to buy all of this stuff, we're looking at a total of about $108, plus the original $50 for the mask, and then another $20 for the cage. So this brings your total a little bit above that $170 return on investment. You're in the red by $8. But even in that case, you have now enough materials where you could go ahead and do a second mask restoration project, and you already have all this materials, and you could build a big profit on the second time around. So whether this is going to be worth it for you depends a little bit on how involved you want to get, if you want to do more than one, or if you already have these type of materials available to you, just to make it easier for you. Thanks for watching. Consider taking a look at the t-shirt shop and represent the style of goalie masks that you like best. Or, if you have a goalie in your life that you'd like to say thank you to, consider saying thank you with a t-shirt that matches their equipment.